I wrote this song as a reminder that no matter what it is that we may be going through, whatever challenges may come in our lives, underpinning everything is God. In and through all of it is God. It's God. I can shout out in anger or think before I speak. I can choose to be strong or surrender to your feet. I can rage like a fire or soothe like the breeze. All of this is all of you and me. In and through it all, it is God. In and through it all is love. I am here to be a mirror, to reflect the divine in you. In and through it all is God. Yes. Life can play a soft, sweet melody or screech in tragedy. It can wrap you in its arms or bring you humbly to your feet. It can bring so much suffering or joy and harmony. All of this is all of you and me. In and through it all is God. In and through it all is love. I am here to be a mirror, to reflect the divine in you. In and through it all is God. It's what it takes to live this human experience. It's what it takes to awaken to our souls. It's what it takes to recognize our wholeness. Because God needs us to be whole. In and through it all is God. In and through it all is love. I am here to be a mirror, to reflect the divine in you. In and through it all is God. In and through it all is God. In and through it all is love. I am here to be your mirror, to reflect the divine in you. Because in and through it all is God. Is God. In and through it all is God. I wrote this song as a
I don't think I could have found a more perfect song for what's been going on in my life lately, and that I have to turn around and look and be like, okay, God's really in everything, right? Yes? Yes. Y'all know that I have to have you talk to me. As you were all reading with Reverend Catherine this morning, something stuck out to me that I have to point out. We create our life experiences through our way of thinking and feeling. our life experiences, right? So we have to make sure we understand that experiences and events are not the same thing. Yes? Events happen here in the physical world. Our experiences happen inside of us. Right? And the events of my morning as I was walking Zoomer, that's how I start every day. I have to walk the dog. And I was reminded, because I spent a couple of days away from the Crystal Coast, and I was reminded of the events that awaken me every day. Have you ever listened to the birds in this area? It is incredible. And I didn't realize that I missed it when I was away from here, but as I was walking through the streets of Beaufort, a cacophony of bird song was there, and it was incredible. And it oddly enough, it reminded me of the Dead Poets Society. Do you remember that movie with Robin Williams? And I know that sometimes, how I get from place A to place B confuses y'all, right? Song of Myself, verse 52 starts, "The spotted hawk swoops by and accuses me. He complains of my gab and my loitering." Right? It wasn't a spotted hawk, but there are mocking-jays all over my neighborhood that do not like me near their nests, right? And they squawk and they holler. And that's how this verse 52 starts. "I am not a bit tamed. I too am untranslatable. I sound my barbaric yawp over the roofs of the world." That's from Dead Poets Society. If you remember, they make the kids stand up on the desk and they yawp. Have you ever yawped? When I was in high school, my friend Beth and I used to go out. There was like this natural-looking amphitheater area, and when it was too stressful, we would go out there and let out our barbaric yawp to the world. It's a great stress reliever, right? I highly encourage that you go out and yawp. It's incredible, because sometimes the events in this world we can't hold emotionally. We can't hold our experience of that and know ourselves as peace, as joy, as love. Have you experienced that? Sometimes what we call really bad things happen in the world and we get upset. Yes? And I thought last week when this beautiful community sat here together and knew themselves, as light, as love, as power and presence, I felt so good. But then this week I realized I wasn't done talking about Job. Right? All these bad things that happened to Job, right? But we have to know that Job is in our consciousness. It's who we are right now, and we get to decide, are we going to show up as Jehovah, as peace and as joy and as love, or are we going to show up as Satan, the accuser, the prosecutor, right? And how many of us have all those stories and those questions, right, where we go, that wouldn't have happened if you weren't a sinner, if you weren't bad, if you didn't have error thoughts, right? Right? And then, and then we argue that point, right? Because we know better, right? We say we know better. If we really knew better, then that second voice wouldn't come along. And that second voice, right? The second voice that comes along, it says, this bad thing that happened to them that you're so upset about, it wouldn't have happened to them if they held the right consciousness, right? Metaphysical malpractice, right? That you shape your experience, not the event, right? And then somehow, if we're lucky, because we think we know better, right, we move on, and then finally that other voice shows up, that voice that says, the universe really kind of took it easy on you because you deserved a lot worse. You ever had that? Right? This is literally the story of Job. This is exactly what Job's friends show up and tell him. And all of those friends, right, live up here in our consciousness. These are archetypes of things that show up in our lives. And like Peggy reminded us this morning with our word, we get to forgive because we know better. Right? We do know better, yes? You know, that's why we come here, because we don't buy into that idea that anybody's going to save us except the truth of our own consciousness, recognizing who we are in truth and showing up and living from that place where we know that I am the light, I am the love, I am the power, I am the presence. I am peace, I am joy, I am love. But then all these events happen, right? And sometimes we want to stand up and yell that gigantic, barbaric yawp, not to the world, but at God. Anybody ever yelled at God? Let me tell you what. Anytime you think, oh, I can't do that, you know what? God can hold it. God can handle it. Do you really think that which has called all of us into creation and put part of itself in you can't hold all that you throw at it? Come on. Right? It reminds me of that thought that says, I brought you into this world and I can take you out of this world, right? It is the power, it is the presence, and that power and presence is in you. And see, this is exactly what Job did. Job accuses God in this story. You have betrayed me. I am a good person, and you have betrayed me. Of course, God shows up. Right? The Jehovah of our consciousness shows up and basically says, where were you when I created the universe? Where were you when I created the oceans and the land and the birds, right? And all of these things are things in consciousness, right? Where, every idea that has ever existed in the mind of the divine. And so we can't see how everything is coming forth and is created from unconditional love and unlimited good in these few little years that we have to experience this incredible experience. And right, and this power, this presence, this light, this love wants to know itself as you. That's the experience part, right? You get to choose the experience you have from whatever these events are. And there are events that are painful, and sometimes you don't know how to hold them, and you have got to. See, this is our scripture teaching us. You have got to argue directly with the God of your being. Right, because what I learned as I prayed about Job this week, as I sat in the silence with this study, what I know is that this, for me, is the first time in our scriptures that we have someone show up who wasn't told to, bring the people out of Egypt, wasn't told to build a boat, wasn't told to pick up a stone and kill a giant, wasn't given anything to do, and something horrible just happens. Right? Up until this point, you have very select leaders who get to stand as the mediator between the people and God. And Job goes straight to the person, this place in consciousness in his mind. He goes directly and says, hey, I've got a problem with this. Right? And we all have that invitation, right? That's why we're in unity. You don't have to have a spiritual leader that's going to tell you what to do. What we're going to do in this community is show you how you can have your own experience. This is first-hand experience of divine revelation. The way is pointed out for us, right? But you get to have that experience, right? The entire unity movement is built on this idea of a mystical experience of Christianity. And so I want to remind you, right, if you're just showing up on Sundays, it's a hobby. You get to have this personal experience every day, every moment. But it's a practice, right? It is a practice that we commit to, right? Because sometimes, I'm going back to my movies, right? So sometimes these events show up, and I'm reminded of My Lynn in Still Magnolias, Sally Field, who screams out because her daughter has been taken away. And she's got those friends that are there that try and do the right thing. And sometimes all we can do is be quiet and hold space while the people we love yell at God. Right? So your assignment this week, should you choose to take it on, is to go someplace. You might want to go out on the beach or someplace where people can't hear you. And I need you to give a barbaric yawp to the world. If you're angry about something, then talk about it with the Christ of your being. If you're joyful about something, talk about it with the Christ of your being. Own the experience that you're going to have of this physical event, whatever that event is. Because that's what mystics do. They own their experience, so that they can be the light, the love, the power, the presence, the peace, the joy, right? Be the peace that you want to see in the world. Be the joy that you want to see in the world. Be the love that you want to see in the world. Because the world needs it from you. I love you, my friends. Thanks for giving me your time today.
This is a wonderful song written by Mr. Daniel Nahmod, and I'm just so thrilled to share it with you today. It's called God Knows. When things go wrong, it's natural to wonder, what celestial rule did I break? When things go right, it's logical to ponder, what credit can I take? But the truth is so much easier. I don't need a master plan. I can live here in this moment because my life is in good hands. I don't need to know where the wind blows, 'cause God knows. I don't need to know what the future holds, because God knows. I need never know how pain ends, how my heart bends. I can just let go, because Still I find that I'm crying out for answers. I guess I'm still craving control. Oh, and still I find I'm afraid of taking chances, as if that could damage my soul. But at this moment I remember, it all comes so clear to me, that the minute I surrender, I am safe as I can be. I don't need to know where the time goes, because God knows. I don't need to know what the future holds, because God knows. I need never know how pain ends, or how my heart mends. Oh, I can just let go, because God knows. God within knows. I need never know. I need never know how pain ends, or how my heart mends. I can just let go, because God within knows. God within knows.